for the top 25 food businesses in America, they've lost, in terms of market share, at least $4 billion last year alone. And what's happening is people are shopping differently, as David pointed out as well. They're not shopping the core aisles anymore, they're shopping the fresh segments, they're looking for these small innovative producers, and the big companies are out there buying them up, and they're spending big money because they're sort of like, what's happening here? And in the background there's private equity and venture capital who are sort of saying, well, actually we've disrupted taxis, we've disrupted hotels, service providing, etc., etc. Why can't we attack food? Let's attack food. Let's look for who's doing new and different things. And even in Australia, we do have a private equity and venture capital industry, and it's always been involved in food. Some recent examples would be Rafferty's Garden, which exited for a very healthy price to PZ Cussons, and that was backed by a private venture capital company out of Australia. And we've also seen things like Red Rooster being turned over by the private equity companies as well. We've seen Nestle, Peter's Ice Creams turned over. So capital will always search for where they can get a return, and if there are good entrepreneurs or startups or established business doing interesting things, the capital will come. The large businesses have seen this a long time ago. So, you know, Nestle is gifted with large coffers, and they started in 2002, Nestle and Vintages, and they've already poured about 150 million in venture capital into 38 different businesses. And some of these are very highly innovative businesses, you know, ones that can do like a snap frozen ice cream in a matter of seconds, through to beverage can opening, health sciences, etc. Tate & Lyle as well in sugar has done the same thing. They've put out one fund of £25 million, another one of £30 million, doing interesting things with things like monk fruit sweeteners. And Coca-Cola's done something really interesting, which is well worth Googling and looking at, called Coca-Cola Founders Program. And they have a very sort of visionary vice president of innovation who said, let's get close to founders because we're really good at scale, they're good at starting things, maybe we can just help people grow. And they've started a thing called Coca-Cola Founders, and they're in 10 countries, they've funded 9 startups. Well, actually they haven't even so much as funded them, they're more not trying to take the equity off the founders. What they're trying to do is say, you can use our networks, our businesses to grow. And they even have an operation here in Sydney called Red Garage with Stephen and Frankie and Jason, sorry, and they're very approachable. So, you know, these could be places to start seeking and searching for information and ideas about how people are learning. And then, of course, there's been some examples already shown today, but there's some great examples out there of people having a crack already in digital disruption. So there's Dished, which David mentioned, from Simplot, doing frozen meals to you. Is anyone, just as a show of hands, anyone taken a delivery from Dished? Anyone aware of it? Okay, yep. Kogan Pantry, has anyone shopped at Kogan Pantry? No. And very recent entrant Marley Spoon, which I was privileged enough to enjoy a beautiful fish and sage dish last night. My younger brother cooked up. Has anyone heard of Marley Spoon? Great. A few people have heard of Marley Spoon. Well, you'll hear a lot more about it shortly on the panel because we've got Dave here to share some insights to what they're up to as well. So these 3 businesses are out there doing things, and I did spend some time talking to the business leaders in these businesses just to try and share a couple of takeaways, because I'm sure you guys have got ideas in your head about what things you would like to do. What can we learn? I guess the thing is, it's going to be challenging. Just like Steve Blank says, you know, it's not in our DNA in large businesses, if you're from a large business, to do this sort of thing. And then it can create tension. So in the case of Simplot, there's this tension about what are those crazy guys down in the Dished part of the business, running around, flying by the seat of their pants, you know, changing the light bulb 1 minute and knocking out different specials the next. What are they doing when us guys over here in the core business are knocking out our frozen meals or our other businesses day in, day out for less money? And so it's going to require a lot of patience. The other interesting insight is, I guess, is that, you know, a lot of the success stories from around the world, people have made it easier for us. So whether they've made it easier for us on our smart device to order something, whether it's a taxi at a better price or service, or, you know, whether they've given us a really helpful solution where we just make a simple choice to a better brand of health and beauty items like Thank You, and we help people, then you're going to need to somehow think of a whole of shop meal solutions. It's unlikely the shopper's going to sit there and say, okay, I'll buy a bit from you and a bit from you and a bit from you and a bit from you, because then it'll take more time than it would for them to go to their existing supermarket. The other important thing, I guess, to take note of is inventory demand and supply chain management. You're going to need to get really lean and think Kanban style, like Tim was mentioning, because in this online world, and these are words from David at Kogan, it either goes gangbusters and viral and off the charts, or it just doesn't move. There's no in between. It's no sort of slow and steady, 2 units per store per week, and we can slowly build up our demand. It just takes off, or it doesn't take off. And then don't underestimate the response from incumbents. So we do live in a smaller marketplace, say, than America or the United Kingdom and Europe, and incumbents will do what they can to protect their market share. And it's generally sort of seen in the theory of business and war. If you squash your competitor at the start, you've got a much better chance of stopping them than if you let them run. And there has been suppliers who have been sort of told, don't supply these guys, or there'll be consequences.